Stand by. It's Football Friday.
Yes, it's time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye!
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Welcome to a Football Friday on the final day of November 2018. I am Buddy Martin. This is the Buddy Martin Show and Podcast. Football Friday, the only morning edition that we have, unless we have one of those late night dilly-dillies that goes past midnight. Today on the program, I'm taking my friends to Las Vegas. Well, sort of. It's sort of a mythical trip to Las Vegas. We're going to make some bets on some games. I've got the entire list, which I posted online here. And I've got only 5 games out of the 7 or 8 they got. And I'll give you my picks. And I got my buddies coming on. In a moment, Zach Abalvardi will be here from Gatorbait. We'll get his take on a number of things, not the least of which is which Gators are coming out early. Do the Florida Gators deserve to be number 9 in the country? I find that kind of an absurd question. Because they are, but there are those who are asking it, and there are those who are writing stories about it. And we'll ask Zach about that. And also, we'll ask Zach about his favorite pick. I got one for you, and I'll lay this off with Joe Williams. Am I the only person who's thinking maybe it's not the best thing for Dan Mullen's team to go to the Sugar Bowl and play Oklahoma, if that's the team? I mean, that could devastate your team. After this really wonderful season, the way it wound at the end, 9 games, ranked 9th in the country, 9 seems to be a common theme here. And going there against a wrecking ball, Kyler Murray, who is, what's that character's name again? Sonic Hedgehog, who's the fastest character in video games. Yeah. That could be a tough day on Todd Grantham, and I still got the cold from earlier this week, but it's getting better. And so we'll ask our friend Joe Williams. I got the point spreads here. Joe is a bit of a player, and he's been to Vegas a number of times. I've probably been 2 or 3, but he goes regularly, and we'll ask him if he was going to Vegas today, where would he go and put down his wager on these games? And then Frenz Beard comes along at the end to anchor on Fridays, as he always does. He may throw a little basketball in there, perhaps, and we'll talk about what's ahead for these Gators. We won't know until the weekend games, of course, and we'll tick those off in a moment and talk to you about those. Hope your day is going well. Hope your weekend's going well. Hope you're getting ready for a big holiday. I know it started for a lot of us, and a lot of football. So let's see if we can get this line to work this morning. It's being a little contrary here this morning. Zach Abalvardi will join us in a moment, and we'll chat with him about Gatorbait. By the way, if you haven't seen it and haven't checked it out, check out Gatorbait. It's a very good magazine. At one time, it was the dominant publication on Gator sports. There wasn't a whole lot more, and since that time, there have been a lot of other things that have come along. And in fact, I used to work for one of them. Where do you get your news from, aside from the normal newspaper every day or online? Who gets a newspaper? Wow. Yeah, who gets a newspaper anymore? So we'll talk to Zach in just a second and get his take on things, see what the storylines are, and see what he thinks about it. Do you really want to see Florida going to the Sugar Bowl? Which could happen. There's that scenario there, possibility that if either it's a close game or Georgia winds up beating Alabama, Gators have a shot to go to the Sugar Bowl. But again, is that the best thing? I mean, wouldn't it be nicer to make a little trek to Atlanta? I'm not in favor of playing that Michigan team necessarily, but, bring on whoever you want. UCF is not a good matchup right now for Florida, in my opinion. Gator fans don't want to travel to Arizona, so the Peach Bowl appears to be the best place to go in terms of, what is best for us. Now, the $12 million in the Sugar Bowl obviously makes a big difference. I wish it wasn't always about money, but you know what? It is always about money. Isn't it, Zach Abelverde?
Yeah, that definitely makes the world go around, buddy. There's no doubt about it.
Good morning to you, sir.
I'm doing well. How are you doing, my friend?
Doing all right. Just a little bit of a cold here I'm getting past. But other than that, looking forward to the weekend games. And I said earlier, I'm taking an imaginary trip with my friends today. And someone said, well, that won't be a big bus. And I'm going to take them to Vegas and say, okay, here are the games. Which one are you going to walk in and play your mythical bet on or your real money on? But before we do that, let's talk about these bowl games ahead for the Florida Gators. Obviously, it's a slam dunk. If they get the Sugar Bowl, they're going to take it. But are you with me on this thing about being a little nervous for Dan Mullen's team to be completely destroyed by Kyler Murray and Oklahoma and starting all over again next year? Wouldn't you like to see a nice little tidy game in the Peach Bowl, even against Michigan, a team I don't particularly enjoy watching play? But they are vulnerable, as Urban Meyer shows. What's your take on what will happen in the bowl games, Zach, and what would you favor?
Yeah, certainly there's a lot of possibilities there. You mentioned the Sugar Bowl. Obviously, Georgia would have to upset Alabama this weekend for that to happen. I don't know if there's any Florida fans that are going to be rooting for the Bulldogs so that they can go to New Orleans. But like you said, that would be a great game for Florida if it worked out like that. You don't want to lose on that stage in the Sugar Bowl again, but you always want to go play in the best game. And I don't think Mullen and his players are going to have the mindset at all about who they do or don't want to play. They just want to make one of those bowls and go get a win. And they're going to feel like they're going to be able to beat anybody that they get matched up with. Now, having said that, the Peach Bowl does look like the most likely, unless some things happen and Florida gets to go to Fiesta. I heard what you said. I agree with you. I don't think, Florida fans, the ones that could make the trip to Tempe, that would be great. The Fiesta Bowl is such an awesome place, but not a lot of Gator fans could make that trip. It would be much more beneficial for the fan base. And I think for the team, for them to go to Atlanta, for this group to be able to go with Dan Mullen, to know what it takes to play in that new stadium. Because remember, they haven't played in the new one. They played in the Georgia Dome with McElwain. So I think going over there and getting that experience of going to Atlanta, obviously you want to get back there for the SEC championship game. That's what I think Florida fans should be rooting for. Now, as far as the opponent, you mentioned Michigan. I think that's the most likely one, buddy, just because of the McElwain storyline and just the way it matches up with the conferences. But there is another, matchup that I'm hoping for, but I do think Florida and Michigan is probably the one that's most likely.
Well, of course, that's given, like you say, we don't know what is going to happen yet with the games. And speaking of which, you're in Vegas with me now. We're getting out of our limo and going to, what's your favorite place in Vegas to go, by the way? Whatever it might be, all right? Let's say we're going to go in and we got these games. We've got the Pac-12 championship, Utah, Washington, with Washington favored by 5.5. We got the Big 12, Texas, Oklahoma. It's an 8-point game in favor of the Sooners. AAC, the Central Florida game, the Knights favored by 3 over Memphis, a team that gives them a lot of trouble. You got the SEC championship game, Alabama, Georgia, with Alabama favored by 13.5. You got the ACC championship game, with Clemson and Pittsburgh. Clemson is a 27.5-point favorite. And finally, you got the Big Ten championship with the Buckeyes favored by 14.5 over Northwestern. What game you like?
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you what, there are so many great matchups to watch. I'll tell you what, though, buddy. I said Florida, Michigan. There is one matchup that I'm hoping for the Gators, and I'm sure a lot of Florida fans would like to see this. And because of that, I am going to be rooting hard for Northwestern, because if they can upset the Buckeyes, then that's going to move Michigan up, and it probably matches up Florida with Ohio State in the Peach Bowl, and a Meyer-Mullen matchup would be something to see.
I had that question asked me last night. I said they asked how I would like that. I said it would be interesting. I think it'd be. I don't know how good it would get because let's be honest, there's so much vitriol among Gator fans for Urban Meyer. And for whatever reason, I don't know. I'm not his defense attorney. I don't speak on his behalf, but I do feel like there's a lot of bad blood still out there, and I'm not clear why.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
No doubt about it.
But here's the thing about it. Rather than get off of this tangent, I'll just tell you what somebody else said. Roger Hughes, Stetson coach, former head coach at Princeton, spoke at the Ocala Quarterback Club about 4 weeks ago. And I mentioned the name of Urban Meyer, and I said, go ahead and get your booze out there now. Every time you mention his name, Urban gets booed somewhere. I brought it on this program a number of times. A lot of people don't like Urban. They're mad at Urban, whatever. I mean, Steve Spurrier left Florida too, by the way, just so you remember. So Roger got up and said, it's funny why people boo Urban Meyer. Anybody else that brought 2 national championships to their school would be revered. So there's that going on there too. So I get it completely. I think it's kind of tacky, but anyway. So that would be the only thing I can see. And in terms of football, it would be interesting to see Mullen versus his old mentor. There's no question about that.
And it would create a great storyline, and obviously you'd have the fans that would talk negatively and what have you. I just think, anytime Florida and Ohio State play, especially with these 2 coaches, that would be a great storyline. Plus, hey, when the Gators play the Buckeyes, it usually goes their way. So that's something to keep in mind.
Yeah.
But I think Florida's definitely going to New Year's Six Bowl, buddy. And no matter who they play, no matter where they go, say that is just unbelievable. Still.
Yeah, it really is. And we've had this conversation really practically all summer. As I posted this comment by Kenny Hawthorne. He says, why do you feel OU would beat Florida, buddy? I don't think so far. Florida's play on both sides of the ball. OU's offense would stop them much more often than they would stop defense to stop our offense. Don't sell Florida short. Well, I don't know. Am I wrong about that, by the way, on Oklahoma and Florida?
No, I'm with you, buddy. I think that would be a really tough matchup for Florida. I'm not saying that they couldn't win that game, but they definitely, I think, would have a better shot against a Big Ten team.
Yeah, and it's okay. I mean, I just know this much: Oklahoma has got the Sonic Hedgehog playing quarterback, and Kyler Murray can hurt you in a hurry. This defense is good. It does every now and then give up a big play, and there's nobody who makes bigger plays than Kyler Murray. Potentially, I'm not saying it's a lay down. Potentially, it could be an ugly sight. It's just not a good matchup. I mean, in terms of Florida's favor, I'd much rather play Michigan if I was going to play somebody because my speed is going to help me. Anyway, a lot of people are giving me grief about the fact Florida's never lost to Ohio State. They won't get beat by Oklahoma, etc. But right now, I think Ohio State and Florida would be a pretty good match. I'd rather see that than Michigan. There's something very unappealing about Michigan.
I think Florida fans, without a doubt, would rather see Ohio State than Michigan just because they played Michigan, twice in the last 3 years. So You don't want to see that game again, even with McElwain in that storyline. I think the Meyer intrigue is way more interesting. But again, you need Northwestern to upset the Buckeyes in that championship game for that to happen.
I don't see that happening. Do you?
I don't. No. Well, like I said, I'll be pulling for Northwestern because I want to see that match at the Peach Bowl.
Yeah. All right. So let's. Which bet are you putting down there? I'm going to give you $1,000 to play. Which one of those lines?
For that one, I'm definitely going to go Ohio State.
No, I mean just one game out of these 5 or 6 I mentioned. There's all those games you got right now to pick from. The lines I gave you. You want to play the SEC game? You want to play the UCF game? Where do you put your money in Las Vegas? You're with me right now in Las Vegas, dude. Come on, spend it up.
Oh, I mean, come on. You got to go Clemson. I mean, without a doubt.
Really? So you're laying at 27.5.
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of points.
That's a huge line.
It is, and I go both ways on it. I go both ways. I picked it once one way and once the other way. I don't know what to do. So you're that confident, huh?
I don't think you're going to see Clemson cover that.
Yeah. You ever bet on a football game of any money of any amount?
But I do hope, I do hope that game between Alabama and Georgia is a lot closer than the line is. I have a feeling that Alabama's going to put it on them just like they put it on pretty much everybody.
Yeah, I do too.
But I want some good games. That as you know, buddy, we really don't get to have many Saturdays where we don't get to not focus on Florida football. So it'll just nice to sit back and hopefully the ways that they play out, and maybe you get an upset here or two that works out in Florida's favor.
Yeah, I don't see how that game plays out. I mean, Tua could have a big day. He's had a few. If he plays all 4 quarters, I know he's had a couple of dings. He didn't play his best football last couple of times out. But if you stop and use it, tell me if I'm wrong about this, but in context, I tend to think maybe historical because I've been around so long. I'm an old relic. But I think about what are elite programs. Certainly Alabama is the elite of the elite. What is it, the 1% of the 1%? And Georgia is not, at this point, an elite program, in my book. They are trending that way. And they're an outstanding program, and under Kirby Smart may very well come a elite program. So I'm looking at them side by side and saying Alabama has a chance to be one of the 4 or 5 or 6 greatest teams. When I talk about great teams, I'm talking Nebraska 95, etc. Now, if you put Nebraska 95 against Georgia, how would that game come out?
I don't think Georgia'd have a shot.
Right. So if Alabama is in that league, I use that same theory. I don't think Georgia's got a shot. I just don't think Georgia's going to cover the 13.5 points. In my opinion.
No, I don't. I'm with you. I do, though, buddy, hope, even though this will probably send Florida to the Fiesta Bowl, I mean, if Memphis can find a way to upset UCF, that could. I don't think, though, that the committee is going to match up Florida and UCF as much as that would, be something for the fans and whatever,
right.
Especially with their quarterback out. That's just not a matchup you want to see. At least I don't.
All right, I don't either, but why? What's your reason?
Well, they don't have their quarterback.
Exactly.
They don't have their quarterback,
exactly.
And I think because of that, the committee's not going to want to see it. Fans aren't going to want to see it. Plus, I feel like in most cases, not all cases, but you usually try to see, 2 different, teams from different regions of the country come
right.
together for a bowl matchup. To match up 2 Florida teams. Like I said, it's happened before in a bowl game. Florida's played Miami. But I don't think that's what the committee's going to want to do if they can match up Florida with somebody else.
I agree. What's happening in Gatorbait Magazine these days?
Well, obviously with the season over now, I got to switch gears. I haven't really ever covered the basketball team much, so I'll start doing some of that. We just added another member to our team this week, and then obviously recruiting coverage is about to get really ramped up. With the coaches on the road, and official visits starting. So
how's that looking right now? How's the recruiting looking for Florida?
I'll tell you what, buddy. I mean, you have to think that the way that they finished last year. I mean, to finish with a top 15 class after they basically hit the restart button on the 2018 commits that they had. Passed on a lot of guys, tried to go after some targets, and they still ended up with a top 15 class and more 4-star prospects than any first-year Florida coach had ever signed. So, and that's coming off of a 4-7 season. So now you get to go back out on the road this month with your coaches, and you get to say, hey, we're a 9-3 team, we're a top 10 team, we're going to New Year's Six Bowl, and look at all the improvements that were made across the board in all 3 phases of the game. I mean, there's even the punters that would be excited right now about coming to play for Florida. So I think that just being able to go out now on the road and in the homes of these recruits, with the rebranding that's taken place and kind of reestablishing the Gator standard, I'm excited about seeing the potential of what this class can close with.
Well said. Zach, look forward to the next edition of Gator Bait, and we will also look forward to talking to you again, hopefully next week.
Yeah, absolutely, buddy. Appreciate you having me on, man.
Thank you, my man. Zach Abelverde, the editor of Gator Bait Magazine. He does the afternoon drive show, too, as well, the Tailgaters show on WREF. So, Zach getting it done there. I'm going to take a little break here, actually, and tell you about a couple of things. Let's start out with, let's see. I want to talk about my friends at All Florida Sportswear, and Tony is hopefully getting a package prepared for us for a bowl for the Road Warriors road trip. Have a package for you to put on a flag for your car, maybe a magnet, maybe a shirt. I know he's talking about some BOGO specials, maybe with those shirts we had made up for Tim Tebow. Going to be some deals to be made for Christmas. As soon as Tony gets that package to me, I'll get it to you. We love Tony and Ashley and all the things they've done for us, and we do like to wear their stuff. And remember, if you have any needs, even though if you're not a Gator, dare I say, if you follow one of those other schools, you can go to All Florida Sportswear and get stuff there. But we like the Gator stuff, quite frankly, like the shirt I'm wearing right now from All Florida Sportswear. Again, appreciate the support. I want to tell you about another friend, Grinders. I'm headed down there when I get through the show. Pick up my new sport coat, and it is a beautiful sport coat. I think it's the nicest one I've ever had. And David fixed me up. I went in last week and said, help, David. I got to do the night before Christmas reading before a large crowd on Friday night at Tuscaloosa Park. And I need to look a little better than I normally look. I need a new jacket of some kind because it's the reading of the night before Christmas. And it's the Ocala Symphony Orchestra, musicians, hot chocolate, all at the Raleigh Arts Center. And what can you do for me? He said, you need to have this black sport coat. And he showed it to me, and he ordered it. It came in, and he got the tailor on it, and it's all hanging there nice now. That's not it. That's another jacket in the middle there. That's a beautiful jacket. And so off I go to get I'll get a picture of it to show you. Grinders has been my clothing store for a long time for men and located downtown Ocala. David DeSantis and does a terrific job with his staff, Brandon and the team. And around Christmas, if you're stuck out there, ladies, you got a boyfriend or a fiance or whatever you got, a husband, a granddad, you don't know what to get them, go down and see David and say, what should I buy for my man of my life? And David can tell you. He won't feed you any bull. He'll show you the shirts, he'll show you the stuff there. He even got shoes, which I bought a pair of shoes from him about 6 months ago. Those soft shoes, I love them. So check out Grinders, located at 405 East Silver Springs Boulevard, 352-629-3195. Grinders for men, an Ocala institution for 62 years. All right? And then let's go ahead and see if we can't tell you about Center State Bank. My bank here in Ocala. There are lots of them around, though. Could be your bank, too. Go to centerstatebank.com and check it out. The one located closest to you, there are 82 of them in 30 Florida counties, and there's some in South Georgia, and they are a community bank as well. As I said many times, that beautiful bank there is a place where we go to have sometimes quarterback club meetings like we had with Megan Mullen. Also, there's weddings held there. There's art shows held there on the second floor. And they have the word community in their logo here, and that's because they are a community bank. Center State Bank, centered on community and customer service. You Speak, We Listen. My friend Tom Ingram is back in town in his office. Tom has been an ardent supporter of the Ocala Quarterback Club and other things. And by the way, if you want to go see somebody to handle your money, go in and see them there. They believe in the core values of relationship banking, faith, family, world-class service, long-term horizon on things of financial matters. It's also a place where you can go have a cup of coffee, by the way, and you can actually get a free cookie while you're there, and check that out. So Center State Bank, again, there are plenty of them around for you to go and visit, and locations. You can go to centerstatebank.com and find out what the one is nearest you, and go find out for yourself if you want to open an account, if you want to ask about their rates, maybe you want to get a house financed, etc. The folks at Center State Bank do a terrific job, and they've been my bank for a long, long time and will continue to be so because of the things they do in the community, and because it's a great place to go. It doesn't even look like a bank, does it? It's a community center more than anything else. So, Center State Bank, centered on community and customer service. See, we can't get a hold of Joe Williams now. I know he'll say it's a happy bunch of Gators down there. He always does that. He loves to chide us a little bit. But we're on a trip to Vegas today. And what's the matchup Zach said he'd like to see? He wants to see Ohio State and Florida. That's what he said. I don't know. What do you think out there? It's I think it's intriguing. I would love to see Mullen versus his old mentor, but I don't know. I hope it's a Peach Bowl, so that's what I'm hoping. I'm going to dial this number here, and I'm not doing really good on the dialing today, so be patient with me. I have a Kleenex in one hand where I'm sort of taking care of business on the drip I got in my nose, and trying to dial with the other and read with the other hand, so be patient. By the way, the Crown Prince will be back tonight. He's been gone for a while to Chicago. He's on the road, and he'll be back. Not in time for our trip to Vegas today, though, because we're going to Las Vegas to make a wager or two, and we're going to have the guy who's the mayor of Las Vegas actually come on and tell us what we should do is say good morning to Joe Williams. They send a limo for him when he gets to Vegas. And, Joe, we're on a trip to Vegas today, and we got our friends, and we got our sheets in our hand. We got money to spend. Tell us where to go and how to spend it.
Well, let's start with Alabama pounding the hell out of Georgia.
Really?
Mm-hmm. We don't think that Georgia's quite up to stuff, do we?
No, I don't. I'm with you on that. I could be wrong. I know people say, well, look what they did last year. Here's the deal. They lost 3 number ones off that team. They're not as good as they were last year. Fromm is playing better. But you're making the pick. Is that going to be your number one thing? You got a fistful of money. Which casino are you going into? What sports book?
Well, I used to like Caesars,
right?
But now I mostly hang out at the MGM Grand.
MGM Grand. Tell people why.
Well, the truth is they've got a bar right there in the sports book.
I do, it involve whiskey.
And they've got a hot dog stand right at the other end.
Well, and they have.
But you forced it out of me because when you're watching back-to-back wall-to-wall football and basketball, you can't be bothered to go to dinner. You got to be able to just go pick up that hot dog and never have to.
Never step away, huh? Never miss a beat.
That's right.
Yeah. What did you tell me one time? I asked you why you lost. I said, "Why do you like Las Vegas so much?" What did you say?
I think I said it was plastic. It was decadent. Everything I love in a town.
It's the pretentious, plastic, decadent.
Pretentious.
Everything I love in a town. You said.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly. Yeah, you said that for sure.
Now I don't love it so much. You know what? They charge you if you're staying at the hotel.
Yeah.
They charge you $25 a day just to park your car.
Really? Well, that's cheap. I heard in New York, charge you about $75 there.
That's valet parking.
Well, valet.
You're staying at the hotel.
Well, you're used to having free flights, aren't you?
No, that's Charlotte.
Yeah, I know that. You used to know every doorman around the strip. So, so you're taking us into where MGM Grand, right?
I'll tell the yard guy not to come.
Yeah.
So you're taking MGM Grand, and you're going to walk in with a fistful of money, and you're going to lay the points with the Georgia Bulldogs getting 13.5 is what I got here, and you're going to.
I think I would take Alabama. I think I'd take Alabama. Now, that's not my big one.
All right, well, give it to me while you got it. Alabama and what?
That's not my big one.
How much you wagering on that game?
The way we do it, I'd say 500.
All right, you got the same bet I do. That's exactly what I got. 500.
Yeah.
I'm taking Alabama.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What's your next game? You know what they are. What's the next one? How much?
Well, I think we got to take the Longhorns plus the points against Oklahoma.
You're taking Texas, huh?
Plus the points now.
I know. It's not enough.
8 points, whatever it is?
No, not enough. They got the Sonic Hedgehog playing quarterback. And,
they got what now?
Well, he's the fastest video game character. I call him the Sonic Hedgehog.
Yeah.
Kyler
You know
Murray.
what, buddy? You know what? It'd only be for 100 anyway. So.
Only 100? Okay, I got 500 on Oklahoma.
Plus the points.
Yeah, I got 500 on Oklahoma on that game.
But let me just, while we're on the Oklahoma
Texas. Break it down.
Well, I hope Oklahoma wins because I want to see Oklahoma play Alabama.
You do.
Oklahoma, in my opinion, is the only team that's left, including Clemson and Notre Dame and all of them. Oklahoma's the only one that has a chance, I think a real chance, to beat Alabama.
Well, Joe, how's that going to happen?
Well, they're going to outscore them.
Yeah, but how they're going to get to play them?
Well, the only way they get to play them, well, of course, obviously they've got to get in.
That's my point.
I
don't see a scenario. Probably, I mean, it could. I suppose the big guys could lose. I mean, but
well, here's what's going to happen. If
Alabama's not going to drop. Clemson's not going to drop. Notre Dame's not going to drop. Georgia's the only one that's going to drop if they lose.
Well, Georgia will drop, and they will be replaced by Oklahoma.
Well, you think over Ohio State, huh?
Well, of course.
Okay.
Yes, of course.
All right. I guess it could happen.
Well, no, buddy, think about it. You're sitting on the committee, and it comes down between Ohio State and Oklahoma. Let's look at their resume. They both have one loss. Ohio State has a 29-point loss to Purdue. Oklahoma has a 3-point loss to ninth-ranked Texas. Now, what are we going to do there?
Well, I mean, look, Oklahoma can't win by a touchdown and expect to jump everybody. They got to put some points up over Texas. They got to beat the spread and whatever, and they got to hope that
they don't have to beat the spread. Texas is the ninth-ranked team in the country.
I get it, but by the same token, they're going to have to. What if Ohio State wins 62-10 against Northwestern?
Well, who's Northwestern?
Well, they're in the playoffs. I don't know. I'm just asking the question. Well, I think you're right. I think Oklahoma is the most attractive team outside right now, in my opinion. You're right about that part. But
right, and Kyler Murray should win the Heisman Trophy.
No, he should, but he's not going to.
Well, he should. And
why should he?
What's that?
What do you mean he should? He hasn't done any more than Tua has done for his team.
Yeah, he has. He's a better player than Tua. He's better.
Joe, I don't think so. He may be a better athlete.
Tua might be playing for Alabama, but Kyler Murray has been a better player this year than Tua.
Okay, I'll give you this. Tua's a better quarterback. Maybe Murray's a better player.
Yeah, well, he's just a better player. Oklahoma's got the fastest team in college football. They got the best offensive line in college
and no
football.
defense, Joe. And no defense. None.
Well,
Zero.
I understand that.
That might hurt him.
I understand that. How good's Ohio State defense?
It's better than Oklahoma.
How many they give up to Purdue? How many they give up to Maryland?
But they're not giving up 70 a game. I mean, look.
The reason that Oklahoma defense is so spot, they play in the pass-happy Big 12.
Well,
you put any other team
another reason you look
Big
at
12, and they're going to run up against the same thing.
You can't help the conference you're in. I mean, that's just how it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I think it's an argument. I think it's discussion. I've got them both on my ballot at this point in time. Haskins is probably my third choice. I've got Tua ahead. We'll see what happens this weekend, and I'll vote my Heisman on Monday.
Yeah.
But it's going to have to be a deciding difference for me.
Buddy, here's the reason you want Oklahoma to play Alabama and not Ohio State. Haskins is a dead duck. He can't run. He has no feet whatsoever. He's a sitting duck back there for Alabama. Murray, I want to see old Nick Saban scratching his head the first time they've got Murray pinned in and he runs 15 yards for a first down.
Okay.
And they say, oh, my God, what are we going to do now? Next time they don't rush him hard, guess what happens? Whack, 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 right down the field. He's a pinpoint passer.
He is that. He's a heck of a player. I'll give you that. Yeah.
He's a better player than Haskins is, I can tell you that. And he's the difference between Ohio State having a chance to beat Oklahoma or beat Alabama and Oklahoma having a chance to beat.
So you're talking about a rooting interest here is what you're talking about, not betting sense. But you pick Texas with the points.
Only because of that. What Texas does, their style they play with Ellinger.
Right.
I remember what they did to Oklahoma the last time. They controlled the ball and the clock for large amounts of time. Oklahoma couldn't stop their ground game. Yeah. Ellinger is like a single-wing tailback, and they'll hack the ball to him. Oklahoma knows it's coming, but he still gets 3 or 4 yards. And he's just a good enough passer. He's not an excellent passer, but he's a good enough passer that he can throw it over your head once you stack the box. So I think Oklahoma's going to win. They should win. I don't see how anybody could beat Oklahoma twice in the same year. But when those two play, it's pretty hairy. I've been watching those games for 50 years. It's pretty hairy. Well, 55 years.
You have been watching them a while, and I defer to you on that. I like Oklahoma, though. We'll see. Let's go down these games real fast. I want to read you a quote and get your reaction. Who you taking, Memphis and UCF? Florida. Memphis is favored underdog by 3 points. UCF favored by 3.
Yeah, I take Memphis because McKenzie is not playing.
Yeah.
And
how much?
That would be the reason. I'd go 500 on that game.
I'm with you on that. Same bet. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and then we got a couple more. Big Ten, 14.5, a lot of points. Can Northwestern cover that?
Yeah, I'll take Northwestern for 100.
All right. I got Ohio State for 5 to cover, all right? And then we got one more. This is a terrible game. Clemson.
Washington, Utah,
I know, but we got 2 more, actually. Clemson, Pittsburgh, Pitt. 27 points. That's 28 points. That's a lot of points.
I'll take 100 on Clemson.
Yeah, it's Pasadena on that one almost, but yeah. All right, so I'm going to take Pitt just for the heck of it, so it's got so many points. And finally, Washington and Utah. I like Utah here. I'm at 5.5 points. I don't know about you.
I'm going to go Utah for 500.
Okay. Well, we got the same bet, so we don't have a whole lot of difference. Clemson, Pitt, we differ on. Texas, Oklahoma, we differ on.
See, that goes to show you that great minds often think alike.
Where would we find those? Hey, Joe, I'm going to read you this. Somebody tweeted this morning. Matt Hayes, my friend, said, go ahead and laugh at Mac Brown. Everybody laughed at Herm Edwards, too. All he did was win 7 games with a ridiculously limited team, went 2-2 versus ranked teams, beat his rival, and ASU's 5 losses were combined by a total of 30 points. So there you go, and good for him. It looks like the old guys are getting in now. Mac Brown, Les Miles, best coach in.
And listen, I don't have any doubt that the way that setup is at Arizona State, that old Herman can win 7 games a year. Yeah. And you know what? That'll tip just fine for them folks down there because 7 games is like winning the Super Bowl to them.
Yeah,
you try that down in Gainesville or in Auburn or in Tuscaloosa, they'll run you out of town and put a for sale sign in your yard. But down in Arizona, that'll fit just 7 wins a year. He's a hero.
There you go. It's the hitman, Joe Williams. Thanks for the trip to Vegas. I enjoyed it.
All right, boys.
Talk to you next week. Right. Joe Williams, let me tell you just a minute about a couple people real fast here. My friends at Renstar Medical Research. What a great job they're doing right now. They've supported the Scott Bradley Trophy, which has been a fantastic event for us. They also have a heck of a medical research facility here in town. They do great work for our community in the sense that they do these clinical trials and the clinical research, and they get the data, they ship it off to pharmaceutical, medical companies, and this FDA conducts this, and this data is used to help treat diseases like Alzheimer's, psoriasis, osteoarthritis, migraine, fibromyalgia, all that stuff that affects our community. And they've been in doing this for so long that they've done probably close to 700 these clinicals, and they've been feeding this data in, helping us get better here. So clinical research studies are regulated by the FDA, and safety is closely monitored. If you want to know more about it or be a part of one of the clinical trials, call 352-629-5800 in Ocala, or go online to www.renstar.net, and you can get information there. Renstar Medical Research, seeking tomorrow's answers to the health questions of today. It's Football Friday. I want to tell you about Mark's Prime. If you start a little early, you might have a chance to go get a meal there this weekend. Might be able to still get in as my lawnmower guy is going by outside. You've got this kind of food, and there's a lot more great food there, and the great presentation of the food, and it's all part of it. The presentation is part of what makes it, because it's about your unique dining experience. They want you to come back and say, wow, that was quite an experience. They want you to have an experience there. Mark's Prime Steakhouse and Seafood, they're one of the best restaurants anywhere in the state, for that matter, maybe the country. I've eaten in a lot of places. So call them in Gainesville, 352-336-0077. Ocala, 352-402-0097. Have complimentary valet parking. It's the holidays. Go on to marksprimesteakhouse.com. Find out about the gift card. It's a great deal. Mark's Prime Steakhouse and Seafood for that unique dining experience. Okay, let's see if we can get a hold of our friend Frenz Beard and get him to wrap this thing up for us. We have our lawn guy come once a month, and happens to come today while I'm doing this show right outside my window. Let's see if we can get a hold of Frenz Beard. I just talked to him a moment ago, get his take on things, on the games. I'm going to sit back and enjoy. You Gator fans don't have to be nervous this weekend. Your Gators are off. And what a break it is right now to not have to play in these playoffs. Look at Notre Dame. They're sitting back, taking life easy. They'll be able to drift into the weekend and not have to be concerned about their playoff status, because they're going to be nothing's going to happen to them. They're not going to let's see here. They're not going to be affected by the outcome. And Florida really can't be affected either. They are locked in for a New Year's Day bowl. I mean, I don't see how anything could ever knock them out of that. And the position they're in right now, they're only going to go up in the rankings, not down. There's no way I see they could get knocked down from number 9, and they might well end up number 8, and ultimately make it into the top 6 or 7 teams in the country. So we'll get a hold of our friend Frenz Beard and see what he's got going on this morning. Frenz Beard, of course, writes a terrific column for the BuddyMartinMedia.com page, as well as Gator Nation Kingdom, Gator Nation Daily News, and he joins us on the program. Good morning, Frenz.
Good morning to you.
It's Football Friday, my man.
And it's a lovely day in the neighborhood.
It is, isn't it? I'm ready for the weather. I didn't realize just how badly I wanted to see. I wanted to see warm weather. I tried thinking about it. You know what? It got a little chilly for me.
Got too nippy. That's why we live in Florida.
Yeah. So it's beautiful out there today. Good day to be out and about on a Football Friday. You're along the trip with me with Las Vegas. I've got you here with me, and we just got Joe Williams let off. He went to the MGM Sportsbook, and so I'm taking you to Vegas with me, and we got to make some plays here, and we got some conference championships to play, and I can read you off the names of the teams and their point spreads, and you can pick out which one you want to play and how much of that money you want to spend. You got a whole fistful of cash in your hand there, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Did you get that bag of money I left you?
Thank you for it.
Yeah.
I was able to pay the light bill because you did.
Well, that's pretty good. That's better than last month. So we're improving. I can't pay mine, but I can come to your house. So let's talk about, is there any game that jumps out at you that you say, man, this is the game I would like to, A, see, and B, I'd like to be able to bet it if I had money that didn't cost me anything?
The game that I'd really like is because some of these games are going to be blowouts. I mean, they really are. But the Texas-Oklahoma game is the one that really intrigues me
Really?
because can Texas beat Oklahoma twice in one season?
Mm-hmm.
And can anybody stop each other? In the last time they played, they couldn't stop each other. Texas just happened to have the ball last and they scored. And I'm afraid that's what it's going to be this time.
Mm-hmm.
It's whoever has it last is going to win the ball game. If you're a betting man, it's an intriguing bet because who do you pick? Do you pick the unstoppable offense, or do you pick the team that's already solved Oklahoma?
Mm-hmm.
Tough decision to make.
Well, it's your money. You get to make your decision according to what you believe in. What do you think is going to happen? It's 8 points. Texas gets 8.
I think that I really think Texas is going to win this game. I don't know why, but I woke up this morning thinking Texas is going to win this game.
Really?
I think that I think it's going to be a chaos Saturday. I really and truly do. I think Georgia's going to lose. I think that's one thing that's for certain.
All right, how much you betting on Texas?
I'd put $50 on Texas.
Well, you got a whole bunch of money. You've been a tight wad. Spend more than that.
Okay, so 51.
Okay. You don't believe in it too much. Okay. Now on to the SEC Championship, where the Alabama Crimson Tide is really 2 touchdowns, but 13.5-point favorite at last time I checked. I put in this context, as I did earlier today, if you talk about great teams, and you and I saw one of the 2 or 3 best greatest teams ever, that would be the 95 Cornhuskers that mauled Steve Spurrier's team in the Fiesta Bowl, and you compare them side by side, and you say, elite, Nebraska, elite, Alabama, elite. Georgia's not an elite program, not an elite team, but certainly Alabama is. So having said that, how would you match up the 95 Cornhuskers and the 2018 Bulldogs? Georgia wouldn't have a chance against that team. Okay. Now,
I think Georgia would do very well against that team.
Really?
And yes, I do. And here's the reason.
They're going to stop Lawrence Phillips? Are you kidding me?
Here's the reason why. I think Florida would have done very well against that team if it had not been a 30-day period in between. They brought in consultants from the NFL. They spent $500,000 on consultants to bring in people to defend Florida. They couldn't have done that if they'd had to play that on a week-to-week basis. I think they were a great team. I'd take 2001 Miami to kill them any day of the week. I would take this Alabama team to just really kill them, and I would take Georgia to beat them too. That's not taking anything away from them. They were the greatest team of that year and of that decade. But I just think that since that time, look at Miami 2001. 46 guys on that team got drafted. Maybe, the most talented team in the history of the game. Any team that could do what they did with Ken Dorsey at quarterback is got to be great. And I just, I'm not trying to take anything away from that Nebraska team. They were the best team of that era. But I would take 2001 Miami, and I would take Florida. I would take Georgia. I would take Alabama. I'd take Clemson to beat that same team, that same Nebraska team right now.
Back to the drawing board with Frenz Beard here. Let's pick these other games here. You've got how you like Ohio State and Northwestern, a 14.5-point game.
If I'm an Ohio State fan, this is a game that makes me very, very nervous. If the Buckeyes were playing a ranked team, I would say it's in the bag for Ohio State. If Ohio State were an underdog, I would say it's in the bag for Ohio State. Ohio State has more difficulty with unranked teams. TCU, for example, Maryland, for example, Nebraska, for example, Purdue, for an example. You look at those 4 ball games; those were not ranked teams, and they gave the Buckeyes fits. Then you look at what the Buckeyes did against a ranked team, which was Michigan, and they destroyed them. If I'm an Ohio State fan right now, I'm more nervous about this game than I was last week against Michigan.
Really?
Yes, I am. The Buckeyes play down to their competition or play up to their competition, and this is a game where I think they have a possibility to play down to their competition. I think they're going to win, but I think this is going to be white knuckles.
Okay. So how you playing it, and how much you playing on it?
I would put my money on Northwestern to beat the spread. I think Ohio State will win the game, but I think that I don't think they'll cover the spread.
Okay. All right, I got the games up here on the screen with the lines on them. All right, so how much you playing?
I'll pay $200 on that.
$200. Okay. Let's go next to Utah, Washington, where the Huskies are a 5.5 point favorite over Utah.
I'd put I would put $149 on the Huskies to cover the spread.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and bite. Why the $1?
Well, I did 49.
Oh, I see.
40,
You're keeping tab. Okay.
Just evens it all out.
You can spend all you want to. It doesn't matter. Wow. Okay. And you put it on the Huskies to cover?
Yeah, I do. And here's the reason why. If Utah had its first-string quarterback, they played the last 3 games with their second-string quarterback. Their first-string quarterback knocked out for the year 3 games ago. If this were Utah's first-team quarterback, I'd really like Utah in this game. It's a second-string quarterback, and I think he's going to have all sorts of problems with that Washington secondary. And I think they're going to have trouble stopping Myles Gaskin in the running game.
All right, how much you put on that?
I put $101 on it.
All right, here you go with $1. All right, finally, let's get to. We got 2 more. We got Memphis in Central Florida, where the Knights are a 3-point favorite without Mackenzie Milton.
I like the Knights to cover. I think the bounce house is going to be absolutely ridiculously crazy. And I have a nephew that goes to UCF, and I've been talking to him, and he says this. He says the fans and the student section are determined that they're going to be the energy that Mackenzie Milton would have brought, and they're going to make this the most intimidating place in college football on Saturday.
Yeah, well, they have that bumper sticker. I read it wrong. I thought it said Ohana. It's actually number 10, Hana. Hana means someone left behind. Number 10, of course, was Mackenzie Milton's number. They distributed like 40,000 of those. Also, they have the lays. They have a bunch of lays they're giving out to fans down there. Of course, he's naturally being Hawaii. So, yeah, they're trying to make up for the absence of Mackenzie Milton. The kid behind him is not a bad quarterback, too, by the way. He's just young. He's a freshman.
He's a really talented guy. I looked at his numbers when he was at Norview in Norfolk, and the Tidewater, Virginia plays extraordinarily good football. I mean, it's
Percy Harvin.
Well, Percy came from there.
Virginia Beach.
Hampton High School, the Crabbers under Mike Smith. Mike Smith, an absolutely legendary coach. Over at Dennis Kozlowski, over at Bethel. Oh my gosh, the players he's put out there. Oscar Smith, Kenny Easley came out of Oscar Smith. They've had so many great players that have come out of there. This kid set records in that high school league. And I really think that, that he won against ECU on the road. And he came in there on the road again. He's won 2 games on the road and won by big margins. So I don't think that playing Memphis at home is going to be intimidating to him at all. I think it's going to be a game in which this kid rises to the occasion. Here's the thing. Nobody on that team wants to be the team that lost the streak.
Yeah.
And they realize that although their chances to make the playoff are determined by a lot of factors that they have no control over, they understand that they can control what they can do, and they can put themselves in position. It's an intriguing question, buddy. Let's just say Ohio State was beaten. Let's say Texas won. Let's say Georgia was absolutely obliterated, which I think they're going to do by Alabama. And let's say you've got UCF with 25 wins. Do you take a 2-loss team? Do you take a 3-loss Texas? Do you take a 2-loss team? Do you take a 3-loss Washington and put them over a team that's won 25 ball games? If they did that, I think the lawsuits would be. I think the lawsuits alone would destroy the playoff as we know it. I think the playoff would be backed into a corner.
Yeah, well, the other side of the coin is they need to win this game to get to the Year 6. That would be a heck of an accomplishment. So they win, they're in. So
even that is an accomplishment.
Yeah,
I think they understand. I think they understand fully well that a lot of stuff that they can't control has to happen.
Exactly.
But if it did happen, it would really be a dilemma for the committee.
All right, how much you spending here in this game?
$250 on the Knights to cover.
All right, I think that covers you for everything, all the key games. Oh, you get Clemson and Pittsburgh. I'm in the almost competitive conference. I forgot about them.
I think
27.5.
I don't. The Pitt people are trying to sell the idea that lightning struck 2 years ago during Clemson's national championship season, and Pitt came in a 20-point underdog to Death Valley and walked away with a 43-42 win. And that was with Deshaun Watson at quarterback for Clemson. I think Clemson wins. I think they win big, but I don't know if they cover 27.
A lot of points. It's a lot of points.
It wouldn't surprise me to see something like 49-18.
And by the way, Pitt can run the ball a little bit, which means that they might not get that many opportunities. I don't know. We'll see. Okay.
I could see 49-17.
And how much are you spending? How much are you spending on that game? How much?
I'll spend $200 on Clemson to win, but not to cover.
But you can't do that. You got to take the points or give the points. Which one are you going to do?
I'll give the points.
All right. Okay. You were at the Ocala Quarterback Club on Wednesday night, and Scott Bailey Final Four were there. You experienced it. In your own words, what was it like?
Oh, it's a great beginning for a trophy that I think is going to have great meaning in the future. I think I could see this trophy 3 years from now being a statewide trophy. I think what the Ocala Quarterback Club has done in organizing this with scouts, with committees to evaluate kids. They started out, I think, with 53 kids. And then they narrowed it down to 20 and then to 10, and now they have a Final Four. And these are 4 really outstanding kids. And I'm not just talking about football players. Obviously, they're great football players, so they wouldn't be nominated. But they're great kids. They all have good grades. They all are very respectful to their coaches. Teammates love them. Parents and teachers think that they're great role models for kids in their community. I think, one of the things, I got to tell you one of the things that was said there that really resonated with me was talking about Scott Brantley. And the comment was, "You were my first hero."
Todd Swearingen said that.
Yep.
He's the chief scout.
And here's the thing that I think that a lot of these, I wish more high school kids understood this, that they're somebody's hero. Act like a hero. The one thing I can tell you about Scott Brantley, and you know how I feel about Scott. Scott Brantley, if he isn't the greatest high school football player that ever played in this state, he is on the shortest of short lists. And I can say that because I've seen the great players before Scott, after Scott. Scott Brantley was a man playing, and the people who he played against seemed like boys. And that would be the same today because he was quicker and could run people down, didn't make mental mistakes.
Right. I'm going to just flash these names up here right now, Frenz. These are the four finalists. Brian Maurer, Westport. He's a Tennessee commit, going to go join the Vols.
Quarterback?
Quarterback. Set county records for passing. This young man is a heck of a running back. He had over almost 1,200 yards, 21 TDs. Kimo Clark from Vanguard, who had a very good year there.
FAU, played for Lane Kiffin.
Brian Dillard, who's a Lake Worth kid. He's committed to USF. He's an all-purpose player, 55 catches, 1,230 yards on defense, 71 tackles. He plays special teams. He does it all. Another outstanding kid right there. And Brian Dillard.
I think Charlie Strong's going to make a big corner out of him.
Yeah, a very impressive young man from Gainesville Buchholz, Trent Whittemore, who's going to be playing in the secondary for Todd Grantham. He's a receiver. He scored. You like him, France, because he's a basketball player. He scored 1,000 points in basketball. Great player in football, and never made a beat.
Two-time All-State basketball player. I think they're going to bulk him up. I think he's 6'4", and he's about 195, 200 pounds now. I could see him about 225 or 228, and being that hybrid guy that can play at the line of scrimmage
and fast apparently too. So.
Oh yeah, very very fast. But I could see him because of his ball instincts are incredible.
Runs a 4.58 40.
Yeah, and he's got great ball instincts. I could see him being that hybrid guy that plays like a lot like Matt Elam used to play.
Yeah.
One thing we got to mention is I do believe that by Sunday, Old Yeller is going to have a new job.
Where's he going to go?
I think he's going to be the new head coach at Central Michigan.
Huh? How about that?
He has emerged as the prime candidate. Their colors are maroon and yellow, so.
You got to get that in. Oh, you're brutal. You're brutal.
I mean, his teeth can match half the uniform.
All right.
But he has emerged as the leading candidate there. Mike Hill, by the way, was fairly close to having a deal with Mike Houston, who is the head coach at James Madison.
Mm-hmm.
But
at Charlotte, you're talking about Charlotte.
Yeah, at Charlotte. But East Carolina saw what was going on. They had planned to wait until they had a new athletic director and let this athletic director decide whether to keep Scotty Montgomery or fire him. And they realized that Houston is available. They fired Scotty Montgomery on the spot. He's not going to coach their Saturday game. It's a makeup game for them against North Carolina State, game that they lost because of the hurricane. And they fired Scotty Montgomery on the spot. He won't coach in this ball game, and they're going to up their ante. They're going to offer him $1.5 million to come to Greenville and resurrect the ECU program. And this is a program that has a rather proud past. Pat Dye, people don't realize, came to East Carolina, came to college football, big-time college football, out of East Carolina. That was his first head coaching job. I was at his first press conference.
Yeah. So, all right, as long as you brought it up, a couple of things on Football Scoop. I know Frenz does a column. He keeps up with the firings and whatever on our sites, our Facebook page, BuddyMartinMedia.com, as well as I can't get all the names right. We got the Gator Nation Kingdom, Gator Nation Daily News, and of course, Buddy Martin Show page. He writes
a whole slew of places.
A bunch of it. And here's some of the things I read. Matt Wells has agreed to become head coach at Texas Tech, apparently. There's still more talk about Bill Snyder stepping down, and if so, it's a possibility that Seth Luttrell will be the first option. We know about T. Martin getting fired at USC, and Cliff Kingsbury is the guy taking his place. And so those are some of the changes that we know of, and lots of stuff likely to happen on the swinging doors.
I'll make this bet with you that if indeed Bill Snyder steps down, and I would say right now it's probably 60% that he will, 40% that he won't, that if he moves down, the new head coach head coach's name will either be Jim Leavitt or Brent Venables.
All right. Okay. Just the heck of it, let me give you my picks and I'll say goodbye to you. I'm taking Utah and the 5.5 points against Washington. I'm taking Oklahoma and laying the 8. I'm taking Memphis in the 3 based on the track record of Memphis giving them trouble the last 2 years. I'm taking Clemson. I keep going back. I'm going to take Pitt, the points. Just because there's so many points. I'm taking Ohio State to cover against Northwestern, 14.5. And Alabama will absolutely blow out Georgia, in my opinion. I'm laying the 13.5. Those are my picks, friends. I'm betting $500 a game, by the way, just so you know.
Whoa, you big spend, Mr. Big Spender.
Yeah, well, I got my guys, by the way, I bet with the quarterback club every week. And I want to mention that these guys, too, because Fred Land is the scorekeeper. And I think Danny Williams is taking every favorite and playing his. And I believe, let's see what Fred's got here. I got Fred's picks. I don't think I got Fred's picks. That's terrible. He's going to get mad at me. Anyway, we'll give them to you next week. That's what we do. We make a little wagers. Francis, you have a good week. Enjoy the games tomorrow. We'll catch up to you on Monday night. We'll find out where Florida's going to play in the bowl, and maybe there'll be some recruiting news. You never know.
And tonight we'll have the MAC championship and the Pac-12 championship on TV.
Anything on hoop, by the way, to worry about?
Well, we play West Virginia in the Jimmy V Classic coming up this coming week. Yeah. I like to think that they have sort of found themselves offensively after that last ball game. That last ball game, I was very impressed with the fact that they took better shots. And
young players look good. I like Ballard. I like that whole bunch. You're right. They look promising.
Andrew Nimbard.
Yeah. Doesn't shoot that much, does he?
No, he doesn't. 46 assists, only 9 turnovers. 4 of those turnovers were in the first game with Florida State, his very first college game. Since then, 42 and 5. Wow.
All right, good stuff, Francis. We'll talk to you. We'll read you. Appreciate it. Have a great weekend, all right?
Take care.
All right, Francis Beard checking in as he always does on the Mondays and Fridays. Glad to have him there. We will move these out of your way, and we'll say have adieu. Hope you enjoyed the show. We enjoyed it. We'll be talking to you on Monday night. Don't forget, on the Late Night Daily.